Hi, I'm Max Riley, and this is the T5552 Process Control System Amatrol Trainer. In the purposes of this demonstration, we're only going to be looking at basic flow measurement and control. The basic operation of this system is we fill water in the tank here. There's a water pump in the pump. We'll pump through the bottom pipes here, up through the rotometer, back through the diaphragm valve, through the paddle wheel sensor, into the level tank, and the level tank will drain back into the tub. So what we need to make sure we're doing before we turn this on, you want to make sure that these drain valves are vertical and they're open, not horizontal and closed. And we want to make sure that we're feeding 20 psi air pressure into the regulator here, which goes into the diaphragm valve. Okay. Lastly, you want to make sure that we're removing any lockout or tag out here on the side, and we're going to go ahead and flip the breaker. So the way that we have this wired here, we have the power supply coming into our switch, which goes to the water pump here, and we're going to go ahead and turn on the pump with the switch. So the pump is moving. We don't have any flow right now though, so we're going to start off and we're going to turn the hand valve. And as you can see, our rotometer is going up here. We're going to turn it to about 1 gallon per minute. And as you can see here on this PID controller, we're starting off out here in manual mode. Which is allowing us to use the hand valve. Both the flow transmitter here and the PID controller process variables are in agreement. They're saying that we have about 1 gallon per minute. If you look at the rotometer, it's a little hard to tell where it's measuring, but you want to look at that bottom part of the triangular piece on the top of the rotometer, which is about there, a little bit above 1. So everything is pretty calibrated. If you want to get more range out of it, we can turn it up to 1.5, for example, gallons per minute. We can crank it a little bit higher, and if you want to go higher, you can loosen up the diaphragm valve here. But just for this demonstration, we have it already set. We're going to turn it back down to roughly 1 gallon per minute. So we're going to go through a little bit of what we have set up here. There's a lot of settings and parameters you can set in the PID controller and the flow transmitter. A lot of them are beyond the scope of the demonstration today, but we're going to go into setup here. If you press the setup button, you can go into the different parameters. We're going to start with tuning. You press the function, you'll go through the different parameters in tuning. We have 2.5 on the gain. We will talk about this setting, rate min, once we go into auto mode. And there's a reset min, which is 0.05. If you hit the lower display, we'll go back to the view screen. And let's talk about the calibration on the flow transmitter for a second. So we hold enter for 3 seconds. We'll go into the menus. Let's go into the cal menu, the calibration. Again, a lot of these settings and a lot of these menus are beyond the scope of the demonstration today, but we're going to touch on some highlights. This one is the K factor. That's how many pulses per volumetric unit of fluid that the sensor will pulse, and that's the total factor. If you press both the up and the down arrow together, you'll go back. We'll go into input, and we have our flow unit set to gallons per minute. You could theoretically set that to liters per minute, but then you would have to do some conversions between the flow transmitter and the rotometer, because the rotometer measures only in gallons. We'll go back out. We'll look at loop real quick. At the bottom end of our range, at 4 milliamps, we have 0 gallons, obviously. And then at the top end, at 20 milliamps, we have 1.5 gallons per minute. Our diaphragm valve will let us crank a little bit higher than that, where we have it set right now, but that's just where we have the parameters set to in the flow transmitter. Okay, we're going to go back out here to the view screen on the flow transmitter. We're going to go over to the PID controller. We're going to hit this man auto button, and that'll switch it to toggle it to auto up here. So what that will do is if we open the flow all the way, we got about 1.5 here. We have a set point here of 0.8 gallons per minute. The system will take a while, take a second, and bring that back down to 0.8. Because we put it at 1.5, it's going to take a second, but you can see it already. It's going back down, and it's using the diaphragm valve with the air pressure to control that. If we go back into setup here, and we'll hit this function button to go to rate min. If you can set this higher, and that will make the system take longer to get to your set point. We have it set pretty low right now, so it's not going to be as long. We'll go back to our lower display here. You can see it's almost stabilized at 0.8 gallons per minute, and once it gets to that, it'll hold there for as long as you need it to. Yep, there it is. Okay, yep, that's a brief overview of the T552 process control system when we're looking at flow, measurement, and control.